which methods we can override in Java. We have a different kind of methods, like a static method, final method, non-static method, or let's say with the different access modifier like a private method. So static method will be inherited into the subclass, but we cannot override the static methods. We can create the same method in the subclass, but that will mean that method will not be overridden, but the method will be hidden. And for the final method means method cannot be overridden in subclass. Regular non-static methods can be overridden in subclass. And we have a, let's say, private method. Private method will not even be inherited to be able to override that method. So private methods will not be inherited. Let's say we have a parent class. In this parent class, we will have a different kind of methods like let's say public, static, string, and we will say static method. We will output static method in parent class. And we will have another method which is a final. It will be non-static final method. And let's see what's going to happen with this method when we will be overriding that in the child class. And let's have a private method. So we will say private, and we will name this as a private method. So these are three different types of methods. One is the static method, other one is the final method, and the private access modified method. So now let's create a child class. So this child class will extend the parent. So we have two classes, which is the parent and child. So the parent class will have methods like a static method, final method, and a private method, and the child class will inherit these methods. But one of the methods that cannot be inherited into the child class is private method. What about the static method and final method? Both of these methods will be inherited into the child class, but we cannot override these two methods. Okay, so let's say I will try to create, let's say I will try to override the static method. I'll take this method. So here, when I'm trying to override the static method from my parent class, it's giving me a compilation error for the override, saying static methods cannot annotate with the override. I cannot override this method in the child class, but can I create this without overriding it? Yes, I can. Java allows you to create another method with the same signature in the child class. So this method means it will not be overridden, but it will be hidden in the child class. The final method. If I will try to override the final method, if I'm trying to override the final method, it will give me a compilation error saying the method is final. Overridden method is final. The whole purpose of making the method a final method cannot be overridden in the child class. So it's not possible to override. Even if I will try to create a method with the same name, it will not allow me because it says you already have it from your parent class. And the last method, which is the private method, if I will try to override the private method, what's going to happen? We already talked about it. Private method will not be even inherited in our child class. But if I will try to override, it gives me a compilation error. It will say that, hey, you're trying to override the method that we don't have in the superclass, because superclass doesn't inherit the private methods. What if I will create a same method? Yes, I can create the same method, but these two methods will not see each other since they are private and they will be only inside the class. So I'm gonna get rid of it since we are not overriding that method. The only method we can create is the static method, and this method, we are not overriding this method, but we are hiding this method. And now let's try to call these methods from our test class. So I will create an object of child dot final method. We know that final method is inherited but not overridden. This means this final method will be executed from the parent class. Yep. Final method in parent class. Now let's try to call the other methods. Let's say we will try to call a static method. So here we'll say child dot static method. When I start typing the static method, it's not even giving me an option to, call this method. Why it is? Because the static methods are not being called with the objects, but they're supposed to be called with the class name because they belong to the class. And now we see that static method is being called, but we have created another static method in our child class. So which one it will execute? That will execute the one that is in child class because we are using the child's object. So it will run saying static method, and let's change here, in child class. Yes, we got static method in child class. What if I'm gonna get rid of this static method in my child class? What's gonna happen that time? This will be running from its parent class's static method. It will inherit that static method into the child class. So we will have an output saying static method in parent class. And the last, which is our private method, and we say private method is a private, which means it will not go outside of even the class. We will not be able to call this method because this method is private. These are the three methods we should consider while we are working with the inheritance. Static methods will be inherited but cannot be overridden. Final method will be inherited but cannot be overridden. And the private methods will not be even inherited.